Hello, and welcome to the Dark Cloud Digital Compendium. My name's Hiddencastle, and I'll be your guide. This video will pick up where the previous interview left off. If you haven't watched that, then I recommend you do so before watching this, as it helps contextualize the information. In this video, we will discuss the relation between Dark Cloud and Rogue Galaxy, how Dragon Quest VIII was built off of the Dark Cloud engine, as well as if Dark Cloud was always intended for the PlayStation 2 system. With that being said, let us begin. This second interview took place on April of 2019. The first question that I asked had to do with the Dark Cloud teaser that was found in a Dark Chronicle Japanese art book. I asked our source if they could shed any light on this, if it was meant for Rogue Galaxy or another project. Our source told us that this was a conceptual image of what became Rogue Galaxy. At that time, they were considering whether to go on and continue the Dark Cloud series with Dark Cloud 3, or to create an entirely new intellectual property. They added by saying that initially, Dark Cloud 2's reputation and review scores were so good that the team thought that they should create a Dark Cloud 3 as soon as possible. But during the pre-production phase, the team decided to try different ideas that strayed from the Dark Cloud formula, which led to dropping the Diorama system, which the Dark Cloud series was known for. We will elaborate on this Dark Cloud teaser in a later video. I also asked our source whether or not they remember Dragon Quest VIII being initially planned as Dark Cloud 3. I'm asking this because Reddit user Kojin found that Dragon Quest VIII's sound system is labeled as Dark 3/DC3_sound. Our source told us that the prototyping of Dragon Quest VIII took place when the team was busy at the end of the production of Dark Cloud 2, Dark Chronicle. Dragon Quest VIII's technology is actually a modified application of Dark Cloud 2's technology. As an aside, I think that this would mean that a Dark Cloud port to the 3DS would be entirely possible, considering how Dragon Quest VIII runs on a modified Dark Cloud engine, and it was also ported to 3DS. Who knows, maybe it'll happen in some parallel timeline. They further elaborated on the initial vision for the Dark Cloud series, as the first Dark Cloud in production was actually a lot more like Minecraft. However, the diligent and in-depth creation systems of Minecraft weren't accepted by Sony. The source went on to say that during the early phase of Dark Cloud's development, specifically the Tokyo Game Show demo of 1999, the concept of Dark Cloud 1 was very similar to Minecraft, where combat would take a backseat approach to the building and creation. This is why there was no combat shown at the demo. The emphasis on creation was not accepted by the publisher Sony, as they really wanted to emphasize the beauty and potential of the PS2 by using Dark Cloud as a technical showpiece. This led to a bit of a compromise between both needs, which resulted in the diorama RPG that we all know and love today. One aspect of Dark Cloud's development that really did fascinate me was the time frame in which the game came out in, as it was an early PS2 launch title. This made me think, did Dark Cloud initially begin development on another console, or was it always planned for the PS2? Our source told us that Dark Cloud was developed for the PS2 from the very beginning. At that time, development on Sony's new machine was very difficult due to the Emotion Engine, but their company had some great engineers that made things a lot easier, and at the end of development, Level 5 was a team that was noted by Sony. They further elaborated by saying that many of the founding members of Level 5 came from a predecessor company called Ravenhill Software, which shipped titles on the PlayStation 1. Because of that, they were able to transition relatively smoothly into the development of PlayStation's new hardware. The aspect of merchandising is important for any form of media, and video games are no different. Many video games of that time were getting action figures, lunchboxes, and even fridge magnets. But Dark Cloud seemed to be out of the loop, save for a few promotional items that were not distributed to the public. These promotional items will be the topic of a later video, but for now, I asked our source if they had any knowledge of any figures, toys, or gashapon being made for the Dark Cloud series. Sadly, they responded by saying that they don't remember anything being commercially available aside from what they created for promotional use. The last question that I asked was about the post-game content that can be found in the first Dark Cloud that was missing from the Japanese release. This post-game content included new areas, and also included a handful of new monsters and items. So I asked, do you remember why this area wasn't included in the Japanese version of the game? Or was it specifically created for the American and European audiences? They responded by saying that they don't remember the exact reason or even when those assets were created, but they're very happy that the Dark Cloud series sold so well overseas. And that's where the interview ends. Well, what can we take from this interview? Firstly, it seems that Rogue Galaxy initially began development as Dark Cloud 3, and it even got as far as a pre-production phase and got a green light from Sony. This is typically when concept art, game mechanics, and story script are created. However, somewhere down the line, the team felt tired of being the Dark Cloud studio and wanted to make a new intellectual property to become the next big JRPG. This can be gleaned from interviews around that time. And again, be on the lookout as I will be creating a video specifically for that teaser where we will analyze and translate it in order to fully grasp the connection between Rogue Galaxy and Dark Cloud. I guess you could say that this is a teaser to the teaser. But for now, it looks like Dark Cloud 3 evolved into what we know as Rogue Galaxy today. So what do you know, we may have gotten our Dark Cloud 3 after all. From a technical perspective, Dragon Quest VIII was actually built off of the Dark engine that powered the Dark Cloud series. This is why a lot of the systems that are found within the game are labeled as Dark 3. It was actually the third version of that engine. That's another mystery solved. Also, Dark Cloud's initial vision was to take more of an emphasis on the diorama system, but this had to be scaled down due to the need of the publisher as well as time constraints, toppled with the fact that they needed to make the game a technical showpiece for what the PlayStation 2 can do. It's still a mystery if the team created any toys or gashapon for Dark Cloud 1 and 2, aside from the few promotional items that they have created. This will be a topic for a future video, so again, be on the lookout for that. And there we have it. That's all for today. Thank you for visiting the Dark Cloud Digital Compendium. Have a great day.